Ladies and gentlemen, I don't think what I'm about to talk about should be any surprise to anyone who's been following this movie for quite some time. Now, I've said many times before that the Barbie movie is probably going to be some ultra feminist movie, the likes of which we haven't seen in a little while now, right? Like, it's just one of those movies that's supposed to attract women that hate men. At least it's in my opinion anyway. Now, we've gotten some confirmation from the likes of the YouTuber named Grace Randolph, who we've done videos on before, who is a very much a woke shill, and she has decided to declare that the Barbie movie apparently is a super feminist film, and that is something that should shock absolutely nobody. So we're going to get into this article, but of course, before we do, consider giving this video a like just to push us out into the YouTube algorithm, and consider subscribing because we're on our way to 25,000 subscribers. So from Bounding Into Comics, it says the upcoming Barbie film was declared a super feminist film by film critics, scooper, and YouTuber Grace Randolph. Randolph shared her opinion on the film after viewing a screening at the Warner Bros. Discovery screening room. She tweeted, "Barbie was one of the greatest films I've ever seen. It is super fun, super feminist, and I could watch it on a loop." Now, guys, how often have we seen this before, right? We've seen a lot of movies coming out lately that claim to be super feminist, right? We're especially seeing it from the Star Wars sector, right? We're seeing it from Lucasfilms when they're talking about all their recent shows are very feminine focused, they're very feminist, they're very hardcore, all about women who are strong and independent and need absolutely no man in the entire galaxy. So it shouldn't shock anybody that the Barbie movie is one of those movies that is doing exactly that. Now we have the tweet here where it says from Bounding, Randolph added, "To see so much of what I think and feel captured in a movie was incredible." So we have Grace Randolph pushing a narrative about having to see herself in a movie. But apparently, the only way you're allowed to see white people in a movie is if they're either gay or hardcore feminists, and this is exactly what's going on. Her original tweet, "Barbie was one of the greatest films I've ever seen. It is super fun, super feminist, and I could watch it on a loop. To see so much of what I think and feel captured in a movie was incredible. Review dropping tomorrow when embargo lifts at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Guarantee she gives this movie like a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10 because she finally got to see herself." Well, at least not physically anyway, let's be real. I highly doubt she looks anything like Barbie from the little bit of pictures that I've seen of Grace Randolph, but that's neither here nor there. So it says, when asked if a 6-year-old can see the film, Randolph replied, I don't know if they would enjoy it. It's like the Truman Show. Interestingly, Randolph's comments come in the wake of Margot Robbie confirming the film is for children. In an interview with Extra, Robbie and her co-star Ryan Gosling were asked, "Is this a kid's movie or is it not a kid's movie?" Robbie responded, "There is such a thing as people say when they do a press for a movie. They're like, it's for everyone, but it was literally crafted to be for everyone." She continued, "Like director Greta Gerwig said from the beginning, this is a big pie and everyone is invited. So in that way, it really is for everyone. And the comedy plays on so many different, the whole movie plays on so many different levels. I mean, so much of it is so silly and absurd and ridiculous. And I think little kids in particular and people who care about, design, things like that are just going to be blown away by Barbie Land." Now, I will say that most feminist movies, if not almost all of them, are not funny in any capacity whatsoever. The fact that they are talking about comedy in a movie that's supposed to be built for feminists, I highly doubt is going to be funny. The only people who are going to find it funny are the ones who are basically self-hating and man-hating women who have nothing better to do but to go see this movie. Now, I know some people out there genuinely want to see this movie because Barbie was part of their childhood, and there's nothing wrong with that. That is what it is. Like, you're always going to have that nostalgia factor when you're talking about certain IPs, and Barbie's definitely one of them. But now that I'm seeing different actors and different producers and everybody involved in this film and people who have seen this film talk about how hardcore feminist it is, it really leads me to believe that this is not going to be a funny movie in the slightest. It says, "Because the craftsmanship is so incredible," she explained, "and it's all tangible and it's amazing, and then there's, some pretty profound conversations happening at the same time." It says, not only do Randolph's comments come in the wake of Robbie confirming the film is made for everyone, including children, despite it featuring a man pretending to be a woman playing Dr. Barbie, but it also comes in the wake of both Robbie and the film's director, Greta Gerwig, confirming the film is feminist. Speaking with ABC News host Sarah Ferguson, both Robbie and Gerwig were asked, in the little that was able to be understood about the film in advance, clearly Mattel still talk about it in a slightly different terms to you too, but somehow they don't like to call it a feminist film. The actors seem very comfortable talking about it as if it's a feminist film, but somehow it doesn't matter when you talk about it differently. Well, chances are they're probably trying to avoid what happened with Charlie's Angels, right? So Charlie's Angels was touted when they rebooted that as a hardcore ultra feminist feminist film, and the movie bombed. It bombed so terrible, the likes of which the director had to make Cocaine Bear because they needed to save their image, right? But ultimately, that movie failed because it was marketed as a feminist film. Even the director came out and admitted that. They said that if they went back in time and tried to remarket the film, they wouldn't have remarketed it as a film only for hardcore feminists. Now, it looks like Barbie is going down that route, and chances are, if this movie bombs, which I don't think it's necessarily going to depending on the budget, but if this movie does in fact bomb, you know that men are going to be blamed for this somehow, some way. Like, I just can't even imagine them blaming men. But again, I just know it's going to happen because we've seen it happen time and time again. Feminists blame men for every fucking thing. Like, men are the ultimate bad guys in their universe. So they're going to find a way to blame men if this movie does indeed bomb. It says Gerwig answered, well, it's most certainly is a feminist film. When asked to explain how so, Robbie interjected, to me, that's like one slice of the pie. Gerwig said, super big slice. Robbie continued, it's a big slice, but I wouldn't call it a funny film because that discredits the fact that it's got a lot of heart, and it's got a lot of emotion, and it's got a lot of movie references, you know, all that kind of stuff. Robbie went on, I'm like, it's funny that in a huge part of it, it is like a comedy. But if you just call it a funny film, it almost makes it sound like it doesn't have a lot going on, and it does. Gerwig then shared, when we talk about this stuff, it almost sounds silly because you start talking about Barbie and Ken, and then you're having very serious discussion about Barbie and Ken. But it's also a humanist film because it's like humanity insofar as you can call it, like Barbie and Ken is what is paramount in the film. And at the beginning of the movie, you know Ken is a person with no status in this world. So in this kind of reverse world, that person who has no status in it is completely untenable place long term, Gerwig explained. When Ferguson asserts that Ken is taken from being a cipher into a real thing, Gerwig responds, right, which is, you know, but in that way, it's giving him humanity, as it were, as a doll, as you know, whatever these kinds of knots on knots that we have on the world of Barbie. So it looks like they're going to try to focus heavily on the story of Barbie and Ken. I mean, that's pretty much obvious, right? Like, those two are the most prominent characters when it comes to the Barbie-verse, or whatever the hell you want to call it. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I don't know if them focusing on Barbie or Ken is going to make any difference if they're going to tout this as a super hardcore feminist film, especially since feminists do not want to rely on any man. So chances are Barbie is going to end up shitting all over Ken and making him seem like a cuck. And that's probably what they're going to end up doing to Ken. I would not be surprised if that happens. But at the end of the day, whatever happens with this movie, I can guarantee you I will not see it. And you know what? That's okay. There are some movies that are not meant for me. And this is definitely one of those movies. So if Barbie is meant for you and you're going to go see it, let us know what you thought of the movie in the comments down below. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you did enjoy it. And if you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.